Hello everybody, I hope you're doing well. This is Vertigo here, back with another video. I know it's been a little while since I made one, but in that meantime, I hope everybody has been well. And at any rate, we're flying again today. We're here on the ground at Chicago O'Hare. We're flying as United now. You'll notice the jetway has the American Airlines emblem on it. That is because this is an American Airlines parking spot. We're flying to St. Louis. Now, the reason for that is not that we're flying to St. Louis. There's American Airlines logos all around. United only flies their regionals from O'Hare to St. Louis. However, the last video I recorded had the American Airlines livery, so I wanted to mix it up, fly United. So we're flying an American Airlines flight as United Airlines. So that explains that. This is the FSLabs A320. I'm sure you'll see it in the title of the video, but this is it. It is here. I have it. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, it's been out for FSX for a while, and it came to P3D shortly thereafter. I don't really want to drag out this intro, and I always try and remember every piece of information, and I just can't. So if you guys have specific questions about, things you see within the simulator that you're curious about, by all means feel free to ask, but I'm not going to try and cover everything right now, or this video will drag out. I will say that the plane has been boarded, it's powered, ground power is connected, the doors are closed. We'll pull the jetway here in a minute, and yeah, the IRSs are aligning, we have fuel and payload, etc., etc. So we're ready to go, we're ready to hop right into the flight deck and get started, so I will see you guys there. Alright guys, welcome into the flight deck. So this is your standard Airbus flight deck. You've seen it in the Aerosoft. There's some visual differences between the FSLabs and the Aerosoft, but nothing terribly significant. I'm gonna go Control J like so, and the jetway should start to disappear, which it is. Get that American Airlines emblem away from this United plane. And let's hop up to the overhead. Let's get our passenger signs on. And let's hop down to the radio panel. Now, I don't believe there's any control online. We are flying on VATSIM, but I will have a look at my other monitor just to confirm that there's nothing online right now at Chicago, which there is not, as far as I can tell. So, we will be squawking 2200. We can turn the transponder on like so. Okay, there we go. And we'll put in Unicom here so we can monitor that and hear other pilots and notify them as to what we're doing as well. So 122.8 in the radio panel is all squared away at this point. Take a quick glance to make sure I haven't forgotten anything. I have not. So let's get right into the MCDU. So we are going from O'Hare, K-O-R-D, to St. Louis. The identifier, the ICAO, is KSTL. Insert that. We'll do a request for information. We'll see if it gets it correct. The flight number, is United 1308. Like so. Is there no active? I don't believe they can. Yeah, so this won't be able to be obtained because this is not an actual United flight. That makes sense. Although they did get flight level 280. Cool, which is our correct flight level. The cost index is 35, and if we hop over here, the zero fuel weight will autofill. It should be 110-ish. It is 110,400 pounds, and the block fuel should be about 10.7, which that is indeed. Okay. So that bit of the pre-flight is complete. Now let's hop in here and get the routing good to go. So the routing is fairly simple. We're departing on the O'Hare 8 departure. That's not a published departure. It's just going to be runway heading. And then we go bacon direct to Blocker or Bloker. And then we take that to Romeo Bravo Sierra and join the arrival. Now the arrival is the Arch 1. It's the Roberts transition. Let's go ahead here and first things first, put in, let's see, radial fix info is what I'm looking for. Can we not access that? That does not look clickable apparently. Departure is going to be, let's put in the departure runway. The departure runway is gonna, departure runway rather, I'm talking too quickly, is, here we go, is 28 right. So let's find it. There it is. We will insert that. So we'll fly runway heading and then vector ourselves direct to Bacon. Now I wonder if we can, what I'm attempting to do is put in the range arcs. Now in the Aerosoft I did know how to do that. However, I have not done it in this aircraft and in the FSLabs specifically, and so I'm not entirely sure how to go about doing that. Let's have a look and see if we can. Doesn't appear. Anyway, basically we can kind of eyeball it. This departure out of O'Hare, it's nice to have those range arcs because you need to cross the 5 DME arc at or above 3,000 and the 8 DME arc at or above 4,000. However, we're really light. I don't think we're going to bust those restrictions. So I'm not excessively or exceedingly worried about that. And at the end of the day, it is just a simulator. So the weather at St. Louis is 190 at 9. Now, the runways available for landing there, 190 at 9. Well, that's a little bit of a toss-up. I guess we'll land to what? That would be the southeast on the 12s. Yeah, so we'll plan on landing on 12 left, tentatively. We'll take the ILS for 12 left. So, arrival, ILS 12 left. It is the Arch 1, the Roberts transition, and we will insert that, and we go Bacon, Blocher, Roberts, and then we'll cross-reference this with the chart, and unfortunately I can't show that to you guys, but I do have it here. Roberts to Jark, where we can expect 280, which is of course our cruising altitude. To Basco, to Gordo, to Whittlebill, to Honk, at or below 310 and at 280 knots. To Arch, to Petty, to Crya, to Jack, to Herbie, keep on coming, let's see where it is, to Jack, okay, yeah, just to Chato, or Choto. Now let's read the chart itself. We're landing 12 left, we're going to end up at Chato, and then we should have Giti, yeah, there we go, okay, so here they are, to Giti, to Herbie, to Buell, and then we'll self-vector. So there we go, that's our flight plan, guys. I know it's a little complex, and I jumped through that quite quickly. If you have questions about how I did that while you're watching, you're welcome to ask, and I'll try my best to explain it. But our flight plan is squared away. We know how we're getting out of here and getting to St. Louis. Performance information. Now, if we come into, and this might help you guys who have issues with this, when setting up the FSLabs, into initialization, and jump one page over, we'll see the 0 fuel weight here. And then we'll see the center of gravity based on our weight and balance is 24.8. So if you just write that down and make a note of it, 24.8. And then if you hop down here and take a look at the trim wheel, 24.8 is right about there. So we're going to have about an up trim of 0.9 units. And that's what you're doing when you're calculating this flap/THS. So we're going to say flaps 1 and then up 0.9 units. And that's based on our trim, and that fills in perfectly. Now the flex 2 temp, if I, or the flex takeoff temp, not flex 2 temp, the flex temp for takeoff, take a look here at TopCat. I should have the information. There it is. It's plus 66. So if we go 66, insert that, that'll give us our takeoff power, and then our V-speeds should figure themselves out, which they do. 127, 127, and 128 is V2. So the MCDU pre-flight is complete. Let's hop out of here, back up to the overhead panel. We'll open up our fuel pumps, and we'll get the APU going, like so. Speed and heading are managed. Initial climb out of O'Hare. Let's see what the top altitude is. I don't believe they have it listed. Maintain 5,000. Yeah, we'll go with 5,000 initially on the climb out. So there's our speed, heading, and altitude. And we should just go ahead. The flight directors are already on, and we can set the altimeter. Now, find the weather here. The altimeter at Chicago O'Hare, 2965. So we will set that here on the primary. 2965, and we'll zoom in down here and we'll set it on the standby altimeter as well. 2965. 5 like so. And that's good to go. So at this point, we'll wait for the APU to come up, and we'll do the pre-flight, sorry, not the pre-flight checklist, the before start checklist. I grabbed the Boeing checklist, not the Airbus one. So flight deck prep is complete. The 80 IRSs are set to nav. Required fuel, we have about 10.7 planned and 10.7 on board. Altimeters 2965 are set, and we reviewed the departure. The before start checklist is to the line. So the APU is now available. We will go ahead and disconnect from external power. Call over GSX for push and start. I think we'll want nose left, tail right. Let's have a look. Yeah, nose left, tail right. So prepare for pushback and departure, GSX. Nose left, tail right. If we hop down here, MCDU menu, options, external controls, GPU can go, AC, chocks, and the pin is already gone. So aircraft's cleaned up. We're in pretty good shape. Ready for the pushback and engine start. Let's set the NDs there to to arc instead of nav. We'll throw constraints on the ND for the heck of it. I don't believe we have any fixes with altitude restrictions, but we'll get that on. Beacon light can come on, gear. And we'll get the transponder here to mode Charlie, since you need that on the ground here on active taxiways in the US. So before start checklist, below the line, beacon on, signs on, windows and doors are closed and armed, the takeoff data is set, thrust levers are idle, transponder is auto,
departure check is complete. Nose gear
and the parking brake is now released.
Release parking brakes. Okay,
before start checklist is complete.
Safe to start engines at your discretion.
All engines clear. Start that wheel.
We'll get the APU bleed on, and we'll fire up engine number 1. So engine number 1 should come up nicely. We can keep a close eye there on our indications. You can see oil pressure should slowly start to come up, which it is down there. N2 is rising nicely, and N1 is now active, rising through 5. Fuel flow is increasing. N2 continuing to rise nicely. Fuel pressure, sorry, oil pressure rather, not fuel pressure, is coming up as well. So we'll stand by on a good start on number 1, and then we will start number 2. Hopefully GSX doesn't push us back into anything. I'm a little scared about what they could do. This looks adequate. I don't know why they have to continue. GSX.
Set parking brakes, please.
There we go. Alright, brake set. We got a good start on number 1, and we'll start number 2. And we'll wait for number 2 to come up. Chicago looks pretty nice here during the winter. I like the gray days during winter. Just, I guess, a personal preference of mine. Not really a preference. I enjoy all the seasons, but I don't really get winter blues like some people, or despise it like certain people do. So engine number 2 coming up nicely. Again,
pins removed, tow vehicle disconnected.
Oil pressure rising, N2 is coming up as well, N1 is now active, fuel flow increasing. Everything looks good, and we'll stand by for a good start on number 2. Looks like GSX has done their thing. Sorry about that, guys. If you just saw that, that was me accidentally fat fingering my keyboard.
Clear behind the aircraft, left and right.
Okay, and we got a good start on engine number 2, so we'll set the ignition switch to normal. Can get rid of the APU and the bleed. The taxi light can come on. We will arm the spoilers. Flaps 1 for takeoff. Auto brake to max, and we will go ahead and set the trim to 24.8 or 0.9 up. Trim that on out, 24.8, right about there. That looks good to me. After start checklist, Anti-ice is off. Our pitch trim 24.8% set. Rudder trim, we'll check to make sure that is 0, which it is. And the ECAM status, everything looks fine. After start checklist complete. Let's have a check of the flight controls. Full up, full down, neutral, full left, full right, neutral, and rudder, full left, full right, and neutral. The flight controls look good to go, so we can run the before takeoff checklist to the line. Flight controls are checked, flight instruments are checked, everything looks good. Takeoff briefing, we can go over that right now. There's not going to be any issues, but if we have anything under 80 knots, we'll stop. Over 80 knots, we're only stopping for an engine fire or failure, and once we're at V1, we are committed. Flap setting, we have 1 planned and 1 set. V-speeds and thrust, if we hop down here to the MCDU, we can see this. 127, 127, 128. Thrust is 66. ECAM memo. We are standing by in the ECAM memo. We will want to see takeoff no blue. That will probably enunciate during taxi, and so I'll take care of that at that point. So we're standing by in the ECAM memo. At this point, I believe that we are ready for taxi, so we'll head out to 28 right, and I will see you guys when we're about to depart. Alrighty guys, welcome back. So we're just coming up on the runway. The entry point is up here. Let's throw the transponder over to TA, alright? While you were gone, I got the weather radar on. Let's try and taxi the plane straight, jeez. Yeah, right, so we are TARA. I got the weather radar on. You can now see we're takeoff no blue. The before takeoff checklist is to the line. Before takeoff checklist below the line, takeoff runway is 28 right. Minimum takeoff fuel is 9.1, and we have 10.4 on board, so we're good to go in that regard. Engine mode selector should be normal, which it is. And lastly, the TCAS is TARA, which we went over. The before takeoff checklist is complete. We'll get our lights on. Lights are all on. Weather radar, transponder, lights, and we will start the clock right there, and let's get out of here. APU and the bleed is off. That's a good one to not forget. Okay, let's go. So we're lined up. We'll give it about 50% N1. A little bit of forward pressure there in the nose. Now let's see if I can get the detent here for flex. It's a little hard to find. There we go. Manflex SRS, runway auto thrust is blue. Try and hold the aircraft straight. There's 100 knots. V1 and rotate. A little bit of right rudder, let's keep the plane stable. Positive climb, gear up. Alright, so we're going to fly runway heading here for a moment. And then once we put in climb thrust, we will turn direct to Bacon. So, we'll pull heading here and go about 270 is perfect. There's climb thrust, rather. Let's go ahead and disarm the spoilers. The auto brake is off, the gear is up, the spoilers are disarmed. Can get rid of the turn-offs and the nose gear light as well. Now let's see where we are relative to Bacon. So it'd be a left-hand turn there to Bacon. So what we're going to do is turn left direct to Bacon here. Once we've reached flaps up speed. Well, there's 1,000 to go for 5. Yeah, so we're climbing like a bat out of hell. Let's go up to 280 unrestricted. Autopilot is in, and we will go direct. Bacon, insert. Let's see if we're making that left-hand turn, which we are. And we'll bring the flaps up. Wow, look at that view. That is incredible. Alright, so the aircraft's cleaned up. We got the lights, we got the flaps. I'll get the rest of the landing lights at 10,000 feet. Get the altimeter, of course, at our transition altitude, which is 18,180. Can get constraints off the ND. We don't really need that. And we're on our way to St. Louis. So, as always, I'll show you guys the scenic views as we are climbing and cruising. I'll check back in before descent. And, but until that point, guys, enjoy the flight, and I will see you then. Welcome back into the flight deck, guys. So we're just about 20 miles from our descent. We're very close. Slight change of plans. We're actually going to be landing on runway 30 right. That is the current landing runway at St. Louis. So let's get started. Now, we're going down on 30 right. The final fix is going to be Fedorko, it appears. At or above 6,000 and at or below 7,000. So, and if we have not received our ILS clearance by there, which I'm taking a look, it looks like we will self-vector, because there's a ground controller online, but nothing else at St. Louis. So we can set the altitude down to 6,000 feet. Let's throw the passenger signs back on. Here we can get constraints on the ND. We're at what now? 17 miles till top of descent. ILS frequency and course, let's hop down here, radio and navigation, and if we pull open 30 right, which is there, it should match up with what we see here. 111.3, course 302, that is correct, perfect. The auto brake, we have what, 9,000 feet of runway, we can use an auto brake of low. And if we come into performance information, can throw in our minimums, which are 805 is the MDA. Q&H, or sorry, not Q&H, the altimeter, we're in America, is 2977. Temperature at St. Louis is 16 degrees Celsius, wind 190 at 9, and we'll be landing flaps full. So there is that. We're familiar with the approach, and our landing speed is in there, 124 knots on the landing speed. Quite low because we are quite light. So it looks like we just want to step through the arrival very quickly so we're familiar with it. Zoom in slightly so you guys can see this a little bit better. We step through, we can see, yeah, this pretty much just puts us on a base leg. This is a right base for 30 right that you're looking at here. So we'll just fly to Fedorko and then turn right onto final. That's very straightforward. So let's go ahead and give it just a moment longer till we descend. Give it till about 5 miles out, and then we'll push altitude. I'll show you guys that. I'm sure most of you are familiar with how to do that, but if for some reason you're not, you will see it right now. So we make that right-hand turn there over Waldbull. W-L-D-B-L. I don't know how that's meant to be pronounced. Okay, so if we zoom in here, we are now 6 miles from top of descent, make that 5, so we will push altitude, and this will enter a managed descent down to 6,000 feet. Enjoy the views. I cannot speak. I'm just going to stop talking. Enjoy the views on the way down, guys, and I will see you all when we're getting ready to land. Alright guys, welcome back in the flight deck. So you can see we're just now descending through 7,000 for 6,000. Inbound to Federico, or Federico, probably. And then we're just going to make a right-hand turn and take that straight onto the approach. So I got the landing lights on, the pressure, the altimeter is set 2977 for the local setting at St. Louis. It's now 2978 actually, so we will adjust these. And we're the speed's at 220, and we're just hanging out here. After 6,000, you can also see I get the landing system on. After 6,000, we will we'll go down to 3,500. So let's drop it down 3,500 on the MCP altitude at this point. You can see the glide slope is alive, as is the localizer, which is very nice. Make that right-hand turn. And hopefully we don't run out of virtual address space. That concerns me slightly, but I'm not too worried about it. Fingers crossed. It's just that this FSLabs does eat up a lot of memory. Seems to have overshot the turn there slightly too, but is now correcting. There we go. So what we'll do here in a minute is drop the speed down to 210 and bring out flaps 1. I think once we're about 5 miles from X-Ale, we'll do that. I do have the approach checklist here. The briefing's complete, the auto brake is low, the ECAM is fine, seatbelts are on, the altimeters are 29 or 78, and the minimums, the MDA is 805 feet. The approach checklist is complete. And we'll do the landing checklist once we're configured. There is downtown St. Louis, guys. And there's the arch. that this arrival must be named after, because I'm sure you see the arch when you're on the arrival. Very cool. Let's take the speed down to 210, and we'll take flaps 1. We will arm approach. We'll drop the speed down to 180 now. Look at those views, that is too cool. Nice. This is what makes flight sim so much fun. Otherwise it would be kind of boring if you didn't get to see this. Alright, flaps 2. Should start to make that right hand turn here and grab the localizer simultaneously. Drop the speed down to about 170. Let's bleed off a bit more speed. Turn to get a bit better of an intercept. Okay, there comes the localizer and the glide slope. We got them both. As we roll out, we will drop the gear. See if we manage to grab the localizer. That's quite a quite a steep turn. Now, just a heads up, the PAPI lights at St. Louis do not work, so I'm sorry about that, guys. Okay, gear down. Spoilers armed. There we go, now they're armed.
2500.
There is the radio altimeter alive. Still just the ground online. We will assume that we've been cleared, so let's get the lights on. Missed approach altitude off 30 right is a climb to 3,000 feet. Missed approach altitude is set. Approach speed is going in. We'll push speed. We'll take flaps 3. And we will take flaps full. Landing flaps are set. Missed approach altitude. Landing speed lights are on. Gear in the speed brake. And I will run the official landing checklist. That's just my flow I have on my other monitor. It's not worth much. Auto thrust is speed, and the ECAM memo is landing no blue. That's a little easier. Landing checklist is complete. All right, so we'll let the autopilot fly it down just a little bit further here, and then we will hand fly it in. Just a little above the glide slope there, but not significantly. Well, now this PAPI light seems to be working a little bit. Yeah, these do. The ones on the left-hand side, but not the right-hand side. In fairness, we are slightly high, apparently, but not too significantly. Alright, coming up on 1,000 feet, fields in sight, and we're stable on the approach. Get rid of constraints off the NDs. Let's get rid of the flight directors as well. And we'll kill the autopilot. I have control.
1,000.
1,000 feet is checked, and we're stable and continuing. Deviating a bit to the right there, or sorry, the left there of the center line. See if we can't get back on it. Yeah, it looks a little bit better. Just pull the nose up slightly.
500.
That's checked, stable, and continuing. You can see we have a 7-knot crosswind there off the left-hand side of the plane. That would explain some of this.
Above. 300.
Getting a bit low there. Oof. Alright, let's just stabilize. We're at our minimums, we're stable and continuing and landing.
100. 50. 40. 30. 20. Retard. 10. 5.
Alright, we're down. We'll kick that right rudder and hold the nose up. Bring out the reversers. Gently ease the nose down. .80 knots, reversers are stowed. And I am manually braking. Plane really wants to pull to the left there. Differential braking's a little spotty. And we'll get off to the left. Welcome to St. Louis, guys. That was far from far from my best approach or landing, but what can you do? I don't want to be too self-deprecating. Anyway, we're off to the left at Echo 2. Let's find our way to the gate. I'll get the plane cleaned up, and I will see you all as we're parking. St. Louis ground, good evening, it's United 1308. We're off 30 left, and we're straight ahead at Charlie 10.
United 1308, good evening, St. Louis ground. Do you have a specific terminal you want?
Yeah, we're straight ahead at Charlie 10.
United 1308, text straight ahead and hop in Charlie and to the gate.
Alright, Papa Charlie to the gate, thanks. Good night, United 1308.
Good night.
Okay, guys. So that was that ground controller who was online. We're across the runway. We'll get parked up here. Let's get that transponder to standby. Get rid of the taxi light. We don't really need that at this point since we're about to park up. Our gate is straight ahead, literally, as you could hear on the frequency. And I will just tune back to Unicom. There's no sense in keeping that on. So we're going to swing around to the left here, it appears. Yeah, and then swing a right back in. Here we go. Well, we didn't run out of memory, so that is a plus. Try not to clip the jetway, that would be a good idea. I kind of misjudged that turn a little bit. It's here we go, we'll straighten it out. I think we'll be decent. Yeah, wow, these brakes are super duper 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 touchy. Wow. Eee. That's something that could use a little work. I might have to adjust the brake curve. Alright. So there we are parked up. We will set the parking brake. I'll get the aircraft cleaned up and shut down. So let's throw the APU bleed on. We can kill the engines. The beacon light can go. Passenger signs can go. Let's go ahead and get some ground connections going. External controls, GPU, AC chocks. We'll set the pin. We'll open up some doors. Let's go over to ground power. We can get rid of the APU and the APU bleed. Get rid of the fuel pumps at this point as well. And there we go. Aircraft is pretty well cleaned up at this point, and we're established on ground power. Cool, guys. So let's wrap it on up. Okay, everyone. Just to quickly wrap it up. I hope you guys enjoyed the flight. As always, feedback is more than welcome. Just keep it, you know, constructive critiques are fine. Just keep it polite. If you guys have questions about the simulator itself, you're welcome to ask. Try and keep the comments more about the video specifically than, say, tweaks, things like that. This isn't really the place. I'd rather kind of enjoy the flying than focus on that other stuff. But, you know, if you need to ask, go ahead. As always, the social media links are below if you want to check those out. And I live stream on Twitch occasionally, which you guys may like if you enjoy these flights, and that is that link is also down there. So I don't think there's much more to be said. I hope you guys enjoyed the flight. I know it was a little rough around the edges. It's been a while, but I will. Here's the bus. Why do we need a bus? We have a jetway. Oh, good grief. Well, that's one way to go out. All right, guys. I'll see you next time. So long.